Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about using your 510C, and a question that I had in my mind when I first started using it is, do I need the riser? Okay, so here's the thing, like this one over here, there's this little riser that goes in between the mounting plate and the optic. It brings it up about a quarter of an inch. On this one over here, which is the way that they sell it, it doesn't have that riser. Okay, so when I first started using the 510Cs, I had asked around a few people, say, hey, do you guys use the riser, or you just throw the optic on the gun the way it is? And almost everybody said, hey, they just throw it on the gun. So I said, you know what, it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, right? Um, so that's the way I was running with this for a long time. Um, Now, when before using the 510C, I was mainly using these 503 CUs. These have a full 2.5 inches over bore. Really comfortable to bring up, get, get on target, right? But what I found is, as soon as I tried out the 510C, I found that most people, okay, most beginners, it was a lot easier for them to find the reticle and get on target um, when they were using the bigger window of the 510C. Okay, so I saw that, especially if I put women on there, a lot of times, they didn't, a lot of times with beginners, they don't know how to get the gun into the chest, get the face on the gun. If they can find that, if they can see that circle, the 65 MOA circle, it usually helps me position them quicker, because once I say, oh, you see the circle? Yeah, they see in the corner glass. Okay, well, now move the gun to your center, more towards the center of your chest, so that, you can get behind that circle. So if they can get on the gun and find that circle, it does make it a little bit easier to train them, versus when they're using the smaller tube and they can't find it. Now it's just usually takes a little bit longer. So uh, it didn't take me long. I think it maybe took me a week before I was completely sold on the larger window of the 510C. Now, the way Holosun sells it, they sell it normally without the riser. Okay, and I asked around, because I knew that the riser was available for it. I asked around, hey guys, you guys use this with a riser? Almost everybody said no, they don't use this with a riser. They just throw the optic on the gun the way it is. Um, I'm like, fine. Hey, if it works for them, it'll work for me too. Okay, so, and I've been using it this way for about 2 years, right? Just the optic on the gun, no, with no riser. And I had gotten pretty comfortable with it. I just basically just got used to it. People were able to shoot the gun without any issue. But a couple of weeks ago, I went back to this gun over here, which has the 503 CU, and this has a standard height of 2.5 inches over the bore. And as soon as I got it, I mean, this was just a lot more comfortable. Especially, here's the thing: in the summertime, if you're wearing like a t-shirt, it's one thing. But in the wintertime, you got a coat on, you got your hood on, right? Maybe you got a scarf around you, right? On a cold day, it really makes a difference. That's when it really makes a difference, having a full 2.5 inches over the bore. So what I did is, I was like, wait, this is really comfortable. And then I went back to this one, right? This one does not have the riser on it. I'm like, yeah, this, like, if I'm coming up, usually that circle is like it's in the top half of the glass. So it's not in the center. Circle's not in the center of my glass. It's normally, as soon as I come up, right, it's more towards the top 1/3 of the glass, and then usually I have to adjust my head just a little bit to bring it down. Again, in summertime with a t-shirt, you usually, you get used to getting on it without a problem. In the wintertime, when you got a lot of clothing on, that's when it's like, you're definitely going to end up with that circle being at the top of your optic. So I had ordered a couple of these 510Cs that came with the magnifier. Holosun sells the combo package, where you get the 510C optic with the HM 3X magnifier. Okay, so in this combo package, right, it usually comes out to about $475 as opposed to $500, because if you get the two separate, you end up paying $500. If you get the combo package, you save about $25. You pay about $475. So when you get the combo package, they give you a riser for both the magnifier and a riser for the optic. Okay, so what happened was I took one of those. Risers. I threw it on this one over here, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's a lot better. That is way, way, way better. So now this has the standard 2.5 height, 2.5 inches of height over your bore, and then basically when you hold it side by side with like your 503 CU, you can see that it lines up perfectly. And now you've got the advantage of the bigger window. So when people ask me, should they get the riser for their 510C? Absolutely, without a question. It will make your life a lot more comfortable. And also, it standardizes the height, because most risers that you will get, right, like this one over here, right, that's a standard 2.5 inches over your bore, right? So, you want everything to be kind of standardized. So it makes sense to put the riser on the 510C to bring it up to standard height. Now, also, when people usually talk about a 50, having a zero at 50 yards to give them a second zero at 200 yards, right? Or if having, let's say, a 25-yard zero to give them a second zero at 300 yards, right? That's based on 2.5 inches over the bore, right? So if you're going to have that 50-200 zero, that's kind of dependent on the 2.5 inches over your bore to get the proper rise. So when you reduce this, when you go without the riser on your 510C, it throws it off a tiny little bit. Okay, so it's not a deal breaker, but it is an additional reason why you would. No, this is the one without the riser. This is the one with the riser. So that's an additional reason about why you would want to get the riser for your 510C. You just have everything standard, 2.5 inches over your bore. You come up, doesn't matter if you got your hood on, you got a scarf on, whatever. It will help. It's a little bit taller. You'll be able to get on it, and also you'll have the consistency of a 50-yard zero. A 50-yard zero giving you a second zero at 200 yards. The only bad thing is that these risers are sold out. Okay, I've ordered a whole bunch of them because I have two of these combo packages that came in, so I've been able to pull the risers out, throw them in two of the guns, test them out. I'm like, okay, this is the way to go now. Okay, so now I'm trying to get more risers to fit all of my 510Cs, and they're sold out about 2 months at this point. So I put my order in. It's back ordered. Whenever it arrives, it arrives. So that's something to, that's the downside of this. You can't just order it now and expect to have it in a couple of days. It's back ordered. But I can tell you guys, it makes a big difference, especially if I've been shooting for a while now without the riser, and then I go to a gun that has like a standard 2.5 inches over bore, I'm like, wow, that is a lot better. I don't like having the smaller tube. I've just because I've gotten so much used to the bigger window. So to me, that smaller tube is a little bit awkward now. Okay, but ideally, I want the big window with the top 2.5 inch height. So now I got everything. Okay, so now of course when you go to the bigger optic, it does add a little bit more weight. But I think that the benefit that you get as far as fast target acquisition, being able to move and shoot because you got a bigger window. So if the gun's bouncing around a little bit, you can track that big circle easier. I think the bigger window way outweighs the cost of having a heavier optic, slightly heavier optic. So that's my opinion on that. Get the 510C, get it's like a 1/4 inch riser. Get the 1/4 inch riser. It'll say 510C riser. Put it on the gun. Basically, you get a pack of screws, because the way that works is you got to unscrew the bottom plate. You screw the riser into the bottom of your optic, and then your mounting plate screws into the bottom of your riser plate. Make sure you use Loctite. on that optic over there. Basically, when it came from Holosun, I pretty much took it out of the box, threw it onto the gun. It's probably done about 10,000 rounds. You know, this optic has done about 10,000 rounds at this point. What happened was when I took it off to put the mounting plate on it, I saw that the screws were actually loose. Not loose enough that it was shaking or anything, but the screws had definitely, started loosening up. So when you get your optics, even if you choose not to put a riser plate, what you gotta do is take out the screws, put some Loctite on them, put them back in. This way your screws don't loosen up over time with the vibration of shooting. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notifications of new videos I put up. I'll talk to you all soon.